I need to figure out some systems for myself because I'm lacking in being able to perform as a tattoo artist because of being so stressed about all these things. And I mean, a huge part of it is like we're not taught that, we're not taught in school how to be self-sufficient or anything about money. And then even as a tattoo artist, it's just the blind leading the blind out here. Everybody's like, I think that's the write-off. I don't know, like,
Welcome to the Art for Dollar podcast. Me, Ryan Roy, tattooer, financial coach, spiritual seeker, all the things. And I wanted to share a story of someone that I've gotten to know rather well. I can't remember when we first met or started working together, but this is a tattooer who's pretty early in her career, but has achieved a tremendous amount of success and is just killing it. And I'm inspired, and I wanted to share her story with you all so that it can inspire you and really see, like, what does it take to kill it as a tattooer, whether you're early in your career, later in your career. I feel like everyone will benefit from hearing Hannah's story. So Hannah Smith, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. I'm really excited to talk about everything.
Yeah. So we met because you found me on Instagram and we chatted and wanted to take a look at your finances. And so we ended up working together. And so when was that? About how long ago was that now?
Been about a year and a half ago. I originally took the first course. Yeah, when I was an apprentice when I took the course. I took like maybe your second round of Artful Dollar. Like it was pretty early on.
Yeah.
It was from like October 22 till like the end of that year. So
wow, time flies. I'm like, it's 6 months ago, but no, yeah, wow, cool.
Yeah,
those are the early days when I first started it, and I'm like still figuring it out. But apparently there was something helpful about it because
got me hooked.
you ended up coming back, and now we continue to work together and more coaching, business coaching, life coaching, all the fun stuff that we do at the Artful Dollar. So it's an honor to get to work with you and see you grow and just fucking killing it. We got to meet in person at the Evergreen Tattoo Invitational. Yeah. And I think you won an award at that convention, right?
Yeah, I won third place for best small color. It was a healed piece. I had my client drive down. She's super awesome. Yeah. And she drove down to enter in a piece for me. So
was that the first award you've won at a convention?
No, that was my second. I won first place in best small color at the Portland Tattoo Expo in October.
Wow.
Of 23. Yeah.
And then you also competed again recently at another convention, right?
Yeah. I just won second place best of the day, and that was at the Long Live Tattoo Expo in Black Hawk, Colorado. And that was just a couple weeks ago.
Wow. That's just like so fucking cool. How does that feel like for you? And how long have you been tattooing now in total?
So I've been tattooing for a year and a half. Feels great, honestly. Like as artists, I feel like we all struggle with imposter syndrome, in general, which, just doing a lot of self-work in the class and just in general, like you're always trying to like reassure yourself. But yeah, it definitely feels good to have that validations from other like artists that you really respect in the industry.
Yeah, you have that feeling of like, I don't know, am I doing good or not? Right, and like you're your own worst critic.
Always, yeah, for sure.
But to, stand amongst your peers and have them tell you, no, you're actually one of the best artists here, and we see it. They're not just blowing smoke up your ass.
Right, yeah. Yeah, every time I won an award, it's just kind of been like an out-of-body, like surreal kind of experience, especially like just being in the industry for such a short time. I was like brought up in a traditional apprenticeship for a couple years and did that. But yeah, I'm still a baby to the game, especially people have been tattooing for 20, 25 years plus, whatever my mentor's been tattooing for like 15, I think. So yeah, it just feels really good to kind of stand in the game,
Yeah. Well, you've earned it. You should be proud. And so I want to like really get into, we'll talk a little bit about like how you got into tattooing, but like what are the ingredients that are mixed together in you, in your life, in your career that are leading to you doing so well? Like I'd really love to find what's the recipe that maybe other people can say, oh, I'm not really doing that or not doing it like that. Maybe I could do that a little bit differently and see if we can extract the formula of being a successful tattooer from someone that is so new in the game. But, I've been in tattooing I've worked in tattoo shops for almost 20 years because I was a body piercer first. So I've just been in the world of tattooing and just watched it change so much. and what used to work doesn't necessarily work the same way anymore. So I think it's really helpful to get a new perspective from someone new in the game. So when did you get into tattooing? Like how, when, tell me, let's go back to like before the apprenticeship. How did that start?
Yeah, so I had no idea I was going to be a tattoo artist. I was an athlete and I got a scholarship to play rugby. I moved to Georgia. I was actually going to pursue nursing. I was like doing my undergrad there, and then COVID happened, kind of derailed everything. I was just going to take a break from school during COVID. I had dropped out. I was like, I don't really want to do online school. Georgia was still not super serious over there, but here was definitely serious. So my mom was like, come back home, going from being like a completely independent, like I was like 19, almost 20-year-old, to like going to living back home, not having any like sports outlet, not having any of those things that I was used to, independence and just like freedom. Honestly, going straight into lockdown was like really difficult mentally. So I'd always been artistic, I'd always like do henna on my friends, on my teammates and stuff. I would always draw in class, but it was something that I never really had an opportunity to like take seriously. And then COVID kind of changed that because I was just bored, honestly. I was like, I need something to fill my time, something to like, I'm just very competitive in nature. So anything that I can be like driven towards is really exciting for me. So yeah, I just started drawing a lot, posting up my drawings just like on my Snapchat and things. And I had probably like over the course of a couple of months, like 3 or 4 friends reach out to me being like, hey, like I'll pay you to design a tattoo for me. Like your work's getting really good. Like I really like your drawings and stuff. And, then I was like, sure, $10, I'll draw your whole tattoo for you. And then, kind of started looking more seriously into it. And I was like, oh, holy shit, tattoo artists can make a lot of money. So my idea at the time was like, let's just cut out the middleman, just get
Just
straight to
get it
the
right from the
point.
source. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I had started working at a tanning salon, which I don't know if you know anything about tanning salons. You get a lot of downtime just to like chill up at the front, So I'd just
Okay.
be drawing up at the front. Customers would come in and be like, wow, like you should really pursue this as a career. So kind of also getting that outside affirmation from other people definitely helped inspire me and be like, okay. And I spent probably a year and a half just being terrified to go find an apprenticeship and just drawing all the time and watching YouTube videos.
What were you terrified of?
I think it's very intimidating, especially being a woman going into generally a male dominated field. I think it's changed a lot now, but
A lot has changed and a lot has stayed the same. Yeah.
yeah, just the stereotypes of scary, tattoo bikers and like rejection, honestly, nobody likes to be rejected. But yeah, I just kind of slowly overcame that. Definitely did a lot of online research, reached out to artists that I liked, asked for their advice, watched YouTube videos, figured out how to put together a portfolio, made myself do art styles that I had never done before just to try to show diversity in my portfolio.
So the YouTube videos that you were looking up were more about how to get an apprenticeship or were they about tattooing?
It was a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Definitely like lots of like tutorials. Like I had drawn, but I had never like drawn like trad flash, right? Like never had I been like, yeah, I want to draw a rose that's like traditional style tattoo,
Yeah.
So, and I originally thought I was going to be a blackwork illustrative artist, to be honest. Like that was
Yeah.
my portfolio was like all mandalas and like little illustrative designs. I had very little color.
And what is your primary style now?
All color pretty much. Like I do love some black and gray stipple and like florals and stuff, but say like 80% of the stuff I do is color.
I thought I was going to be a traditional tattooer when I first started tattooing. I really loved traditional tattoos. And then every time I sit to draw them, I would end up putting a little bit more weirder details and stuff. And
yeah.
And then eventually when I realized like, I'm just going to draw the weird shit that I hadn't really seen much of. Like I remember, what year was it? It was probably like 2010. No, maybe like 2012. There wasn't a lot of like blackwork tattooing wasn't really a thing at the time. And I was like drawing things that I would now consider blackwork style tattoos in it.
Right.
Yeah, there just wasn't a lot of it. So it was very surprising that what I thought I was going to end up tattooing, I didn't. So it's cool to hear that you had a similar experience.
Yeah. I hear that from a lot of people. And that's something my mentor told me as well. Like, I was really trying to like focus in, on drawing a certain style. I thought I was going to do like traditional Japanese stuff. I studied that a lot during my apprenticeship. And he was like, focus on the fundamentals and the skills that you're building rather than like specifying your style. Cause like once you actually start tattooing, it's way different than drawing. You know, the things that I love to
Yeah.
draw are not the things that I love to tattoo.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really good advice, and it really helped me because, like, even now, my style is constantly changing and evolving, and I feel like really until you hit that like maybe 5, 10 year mark, you know, until you're like really, really solidified. I mean, I definitely have a style now, but it's just always changing, and it could be something completely different, you know. So
I wanna get into like, okay, how did you actually get the apprenticeship? But you're just talking about style, and it's a big question that comes up for tattooers. Just like, how do you develop a style? So like for you, how did you develop the style that you have now? How did that? Was it? Yeah, everyone says just draw, 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 and like they're not wrong. Like that's kind of it. But is there anything else that maybe helped you solidify a bit more of a style?
I would say I pull a lot of inspiration from other artists in general, you know, with like social media, it's hard to not do that almost.
Yeah,
But a lot of times, and something I've been trying to do a lot more recently, I've been also like taking educational seminars with other artists.
yeah,
Things that I've been trying to do is like honestly like less digital stuff, more like pencil and paper. And that was kind of how I really started to develop a style as an apprentice. I actually wasn't allowed to use an iPad for the first year of my apprenticeship. It was all
yeah.
physical, hands-on stuff.
I honestly think that makes so much sense.
It's been so valuable.
When you draw on an iPad, you have so little reference for how big
Yeah.
these things are and the comparison. And only after tattooing for years could you even start to gauge that on an iPad. But even still, I'll look at some things that I've drawn in the past on iPads and I'm like,
Yeah.
I've been feeling an urge to get more back into just drawing on paper because it's a very different perspective, proportional kind of experience.
Yeah. Another thing that's helped is using reference pictures of real things instead of other tattoos all the time. So like when I was an apprentice, one of my favorite flash sheets that I had drawn was a bunch of these little cute frogs, you know, one's like holding a little lily pad and, you know, chilling on a mushroom and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And there's a million tattoos of cute frogs, but something I feel like really helps me get creative with it and be like, is like looking at a picture and it's like, okay, obviously I'm not a realism artist. I don't want to just draw that frog. Like, how can I give them cute eyes to like be a little bit more cartoony, you know?
Yeah.
Things like that. I feel like looking at just an actual reference picture of the subject matter that you're trying to draw gives a lot more room for creative freedom
Yeah.
that's not just pulling off of another artist, you know?
I think that's really, really helpful advice for anyone who's looking to develop a style. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, getting into the actual apprenticeship, you were afraid to do it for a year and a half and then you started reaching out?
Yeah. So I actually, this is, you know, not very common for a lot of people. I know a lot of people struggle to get apprenticeships for a while. And definitely I had the mindset to not be discouraged if I didn't land the first 1, 2, 3, 10. You know, I like decided mentally like this is something I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
So kind of came into it that mindset. The shop that I work at now, I still work at the shop I apprenticeshiped at. I love my family there, my mentor and everything. They're honestly just like, you know, my chosen family, call them.
Yeah.
That was actually the first place I tried to get an apprenticeship at. I reached out to my mentor and just asked if I could, you know, if there was a good time for me to stop by and bring my portfolio and stuff, which I kind of recommend, but also like I would say to anybody looking for an apprenticeship, I would just go. Like I would go physically in person. A lot of times like reaching out on social media or like a phone call just doesn't show enough initiative or like, you know, just guts. It's like just going in person.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure I was being respectful to like find a good time to come in. But yeah, I went in, built a portfolio, you know, made sure it was like really clean looking, had everything laid out, no like unfinished drawings or anything, you know, things I was like proud of presenting.
Right. You could tell by looking at the portfolio that like you meant business.
Yes.
You're not fucking around here.
Yeah.
This is a job. This is a commitment. I also love that before you even reached out to them, you had it in your head as like, I'm going to reach out to 5, 10, 20, 100, whoever it is. Like you were committed to the long game. And sometimes when we do that, like, I feel like energetically the universe is like, okay,
For sure.
I see your commitment.
Yeah.
You're not afraid to be rejected. And so I'm just going to give it to you on the first try.
Yeah, you got it. No, spiritual work was definitely a huge part for me getting my apprenticeship. I fucking hated my job that I was at the time. I had got my apprenticeship. I actually had like 3 different jobs in that time span. And I was just like, something's got to give. You know, I was just super unhappy with where I was at in life. And I actually had a paper in my visor of my car that I would read every morning on the way to my job. Some different affirmations, and like one of them was, I still have it somewhere, but one of them was just like, people love my art. I get paid well to do the things that I love. I am like attracting, this apprenticeship. And like I would read that to myself every morning on the way to work.
Yeah.
And just giving myself those daily affirmations, I feel like really energetically like just tuned me into that, put me on that frequency for sure.
If you've been enjoying this episode or found my podcast helpful and you think other people would benefit from listening, then all I ask in return is please leave a quick review or subscribe. It'll take just 1 minute and it might help other tattooers and artists find this podcast and help them. So please, it would mean the world to me and it might make a difference for someone else. Thanks. People will have all kinds of thoughts, and I still have my like, I don't know why, internal like, is saying this really doing anything? But I do it anyway.
Yeah.
Like I have my affirmations, I have my I am statements. I declare to myself, to the universe, like who I am, what I'm about, what I'm here for. And it definitely doesn't hurt.
No.
I'll say that. It definitely doesn't hurt.
For sure.
And if anything, it really does like alter my perspective, my approach, my actions are shifted because my words and my thoughts are shifted. Your thoughts lead to your words, lead to your actions. And I'm 100% believer, even if there's a little part of my brain that like likes to stay skeptical.
Yeah.
I do it anyway.
Yeah. I feel like I am a skeptic by nature, regardless of the fact that there's a whole bunch of fucking science to prove it. If you don't believe in all the woo-woo stuff,
Right.
Like I know there's a lot of people out there who don't. Personally, I do. I'm a sucker for that. But even just like thinking about, you telling yourself you're going to do something every day, it has to have an impact on you. Just like being driven towards something. That's just like, you're thinking about something all the time. It's going to be more likely to happen than not, I really think. So, I was just choosing to tell myself positive things instead of doubting myself.
So you manifested your apprenticeship.
I did, for sure. Yeah.
I love that.
I actually got told no at first. That's the crazy part too.
Okay.
So I went in, brought my portfolio to them, and it was my mentor and another artist that was working in the shop. And they were like, we're actually not looking for an apprentice right now. Like, thanks for coming in, kind of thing. They barely had anything to say, about my portfolio. And I was just like, okay. And like, I had already kind of mentally prepared for like, if that was going to happen. So I just asked for feedback. I was like, is there anything that you see in my portfolio that I can improve on to evolve my art and stuff? They gave me a few pointers, and then, I didn't hear anything from them for like probably till the end of that week. I think I went in towards the beginning of the week. And then I think it was on like a Friday that my mentor reached out.
Did you like leave contact information or something?
Yeah. I left my phone number, and I was like, if anything changes, let me know.
I fucking love that.
Yeah.
Because so many people, first of all, they would hear no, and they'd be like, okay, thanks, bye. But you were like,
yep.
Cool, totally cool. Could you give me any feedback
yeah,
on what I'm doing so that maybe I could be more successful the next one? Fucking brilliant. And then like, okay, no worries. If anything changes, here's my contact info. If you didn't do those two things,
yeah,
you might not have gotten that apprenticeship.
No, exactly. That's actually what my mentor told me. Like, he didn't give me that acknowledgement until like, a year into my apprenticeship or something. But he was like, that is the reason I chose to take you on as an apprentice. He was like, we actually were kind of looking for an apprentice at that time. I'd kind of mentally decided that's something that I wanted to take on. And, honestly, like, I just wanted to see how you could handle rejection and see, he's like, you're going to deal with a lot of that in the industry. I just wanted to see like how you responded to the situation and like how driven you were to actually be here, kind of thing. And he just said he was impressed with how I responded to that. Basically the attitude of like, I'm going to get an apprenticeship no matter what. So like, how can I improve to be able to get there at some point?
When you, and this is like in the laws of attraction and manifestation, when who you are is I need this thing to get what I want, and I won't get what I want if I don't have that. Like when you need it, it doesn't come.
Yeah.
When you are that I'm getting this no matter what.
Yeah.
And I don't need this thing. I'm going to try this, but I don't need it. It's happening regardless.
Yeah.
It's like the universe just like opens up and delivers that to you.
So like, okay, bet you can have it.
That's it right there. You're literally proving the laws of attraction in action. I love it.
Yeah. So I started, went on as like a trial apprenticeship for a month. They're just like, we'll see how you vibe in the shop, see your work ethic and what it's like. And then, for that month, they're like, okay, we want to officially like, and I was still learning things and doing stuff during that time. definitely a lot. I was learning how to sweep floors and go get coffee and things like that. But I just like immediately fell in love. I was like, this is the best thing that I've ever done. And the fact that I'm not even getting paid to be here and I feel like this, you know, I was just like, no matter what it takes, this is definitely going to be my path for sure.
If you can fall in love with tattooing while sweeping floors and getting coffee and not getting paid,
Yes,
then I think you can love tattooing all the way through. Like if you love it at that
for sure.
granular essence of tattooing, yeah,
Yeah,
you've earned it.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So what is your work ethic? What did they see in you that made them think, all right, this person's got what it takes?
I think it's just constantly like I love to learn. I mean, even now as an artist, I mean, you see with all the courses that I take with you, you know, like I've take courses with other people. I'm constantly taking seminars and, you know, watching tutorials still and like, you know, I just love learning and that's something that really drives me in general. Because I mean, even before I was a tattoo artist, you know, I was a scholar. So I feel like that's definitely a huge part is I'm always like
Yeah.
asking questions. Also like I mean, everybody has shit, but I just grew up pretty rough, honestly. So kind of like make it or break it all the time. You know, it's just like
Yeah.
I've definitely tried to move out of that hustle mentality a lot and just realize that a lot of that can be achieved by putting in the work internally. But it's still work, you know. If anything, that's harder work than just like,
Yeah.
you know, grinding and hustling it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely feel like I am able to like humble myself in positions where like somebody has like knowledge that I want to acquire. I feel like knowledge is the most powerful form of currency in general in anything. And so that's just something that I've always like been really driven about and willing to work hard for.
Yeah, I can relate to that. The hunger to learn, like just deep hunger and passion to learn and just wanting to soak up whatever I can from anyone. If someone knows something that I'm interested in, I'm immediately like, I humble myself. I like to go into everything with a beginner's mindset.
Same.
Even if I think I know what's going on, I like to go in. I tell people, I'm like, pretend I know nothing. Pretend I'm a child. Explain it to me like I eat crayons because I want to learn
Right.
from that level.
Yeah, and I think that was a big thing during your apprenticeship too. You will be humbled a lot, you know, during an apprenticeship. And yeah, just like that resilience to, I mean, don't get me wrong, there was days where I just like went into my car and cried after, you know, hard days for sure. But that's
What
just
were some of those moments that were so hard that made you go into your car and want to cry? And I've definitely like left the shop early on, fucking crying my way down the street
yeah.
because of some situation. But I'm curious for you.
You know, it's different things all the time. Sometimes it was just pure exhaustion. You know, I mean, I was working full time and doing my apprenticeship, working like 80 hours a week for like a year and a half straight. You know, sometimes there was times where I was like, what the fuck am I doing? You know, like, am I ever gonna make anything out of this? There's definitely like those moments of doubt that would creep in. And when you're working that hard, it just, you know, there's a lot on the line. But then other times it was where I was like disrespected by clients or you know, a lot of times it would be other men like coming into the shop, just like I had this one guy came in and he was trying to get his underage son tattooed. And I was an apprentice at the time. I was breaking down my mentor station. He was in the back and he was just being like really rude to me. And I was just telling him, like, your underage son cannot get tattooed. He was like, well, I'll give them my consent. And I'm like, not in Washington, dude. Like, it doesn't matter, you know, age of consent. And I'm always like very nice. I did customer service forever. So if anything, I have that annoying like customer service, like, no, sorry.
Yeah.
um, and yeah, he was just so rude to me and was just like, you know, like, who are you? You don't even look like an artist to me, you know, like, look at the way you're
Wow.
dressed, you know, and like, I was like, all right, I'll go get my fucking mentor and he can come out here and tell you the same exact thing, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, there is like certain, I feel like things have improved so much, but you know, there's still things that's like, it is hard to be a woman in the industry at points. You know, there are like people and like even everything in my station is pink. I'm pink, you know, all the time. And that was
Yeah.
something I definitely had a lot of people say, like, you can't do that, you know, like you need everything black in your station. You're gonna get ink on everything. Nobody's gonna take you seriously. Like you're cutting yourself off to like half of the population. Like men aren't gonna want to get tattooed by you, so it's gonna be harder to like build clientele. And I tattoo like 95% women. like majority of the time when I do tattoo men, it does happen occasionally, but most of the time it's either like a husband or a boyfriend who's been referred to me or is coming in with their partner,
Yeah.
or they're non-binary, or, like LGBTQ.
Yeah.
I would say I tattoo not a lot of men, which has not stopped me from being busy at all, and that's, if anything.
If anything, it's you were not afraid to niche down
Yeah,
and really boldly brand yourself so that you stand out from all of the other tattooers. And does it push certain people away? Absolutely.
yeah,
But one rule of marketing is that it actually helps to be polarizing.
yes,
So by pushing away a certain crowd of people, a certain avatar of client, big gruff men aren't trying to get tattooed in a big pink station, you end up more attracting those
yeah,
ideal clients that really want to work with you. They're like, oh my God, I don't want to get tattooed in like a big scary thing and it's all black and dark. Like this is this like awesome pink station with this amazing person that's gonna like that's the experience I want. So then you pull in those
yeah,
people even stronger. And I think and this isn't just exclusive to tattooing, but in a lot of businesses, people are afraid to niche down because they're like, I want to be able to work with everyone. Everyone can come and get tattooed by
yeah,
me. But you end up, it's like the spray, it's like the mist spray on a
yeah,
hose. The power of your branding is like a mist spray
right,
versus the power wash mode where you're like, nah, I'm just trying to tattoo people that are into this.
yeah,
And that's what you've done, and it is clearly working out.
yeah,
And I love that you proved all these people wrong. There's a lot of advice going around in tattooing that it's not even that it's the wrong advice or bad advice. It's just not the right advice for everyone.
yeah,
Even stuff that I teach on Instagram or in my course, like it's not necessarily the right stuff for everyone.
yeah.
It is for who it's for. It works incredibly well. And for other people, it's not your thing. Cool. No worries.
Yeah, I think the polarizing, what you said, is really true. And, in my mind, like, while other people are being like, you're cutting yourself off to all these people, and I'm just like, I mean, I still do tattoo just regular, straight dudes sometimes, and I'm like, if there's a dude who is not gonna respect my work or want to get tattooed by me because of what my station looks like and because of how pink and colorful that I am, then, like, honestly, I don't want to tattoo them anyways,
Yeah.
like, I want you to respect me and my work regardless of what I look like. But then also having that space has made me be able to, like, I have a lot of women come to me for like sternum tattoos and other things, that they're like, you make me feel safe and comfortable. This space makes me feel safe and comfortable to show up authentically and just like feel like a good experience all around. So to me, it's just always been worth it to like know exactly what I wanted, and I just love working with women.
Yeah. People trust you, and it's building that trust that is the fundamental part of any kind of marketing, advertising, attracting clients is like, do you trust that one, you're going to get the service or product that you're looking for, but two, do you trust the people and the process and the experience? And that's awesome that you give people that space to feel safe and comfortable, because tattooing is such an intimate
For sure. It is.
experience for both the artist and the client.
Yeah.
You are going to smell each other. You are going to see each other in different angles and things that are not how you've normally seen.
For sure.
You're going to be vulnerable. You're going to be in pain. You're going to, people look at that like as like a weakness. Like, I don't want to show my weakness, but like, if they feel comfortable that they can show up exactly as they are, then they can just get tattooed.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
nothing else.
None of the external stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're serious about taking control of your money and your financial future, I have 2 seminars that I want to share with you. These are completely free. You can find the link down in the show notes. One is on a 3-step marketing formula that has helped tattooers earn thousands more per month and honestly reshapes the entire way that you think about marketing yourself. And the other goes in depth into a blueprint that you can follow to create financial stability as an artist earning a regular income so that you can properly deal with taxes, save and invest for the future, and buy a house, retirement, and all that fun stuff. So just check out the links in the show notes to get the recordings of these free seminars. All right. Well, you got the apprenticeship. You had a hard work ethic. And so when did the apprenticeship end?
So I graduated January of 2023. So the first year of my apprenticeship was all just I didn't get a hold of machine for the first year, you know, it was all just like learning and drawing. And then I did my first tattoo on myself, spent a few months on fake skin, and then just kind of had a slow progression. For my first month, it was like, okay, you can tattoo one person a week. Second month, you can tattoo two people a week. Third month, so on.
I have a question for you. And there's so many opinions about this on tattooing, and I don't think there's any right or wrong way. And I have my opinion, and it could be very different. The whole, you don't touch a tattoo machine for the first year. For me, personally, I think back to when I studied jewelry and metalsmithing. I went to college to study jewelry metalsmithing, and if I spent the first year drawing and designing jewelry before I ever got to touch a torch, a blowtorch, or a bandsaw, or any of the other very dangerous tools that I had to use, I would have been bummed. They threw a torch in our hand on day one.
Yeah.
They were just like, here's a torch.
Yeah.
You know, don't burn yourself. Do you feel, and I could be completely wrong, I'm curious, like, do you feel that it was helpful? And there's probably are some benefits to not touching a machine for the first year. Do you feel that was helpful? Do you feel it wasn't helpful? Or is there a little bit of both maybe?
I think it's a little bit of both. I definitely think that on my part, being an apprentice for that whole year, it was definitely very discouraging at times and really rough to get through, just being like, oh my gosh, I'm doing all this work and I'm so behind because I'm not, you know, like tattooing. I haven't actually started learning to tattoo, and like we're so used to that instant gratification, especially now, you know, everything is instant gratification. So
Right.
it's definitely very challenging to my natural order of things. And then also like just being like, yeah, like how am I learning if I'm not actually learning? But I honestly like, and I mean, we have multiple other apprentices at our shop. We have two at our other shop right now, and then one at the shop that I'm at. And like seeing all of our apprentices, it's not just me, they're like the apprentices at our other shop, you know, all kind of go through the same style of learning.
Right.
And they have hit the ground running as well. You know, they're like doing amazing right off the bat. I think it honestly, like, I wouldn't change it or have it any other way. But,
Yeah.
you know, take it with a grain of salt, because also, like, my mentor and our shop environment is like so just like loving and welcoming, super like focused on having us succeed. You know, like, I think that it worked so well for me because I wasn't just looked at as like free labor, you know,
Yeah.
like that year wasn't just like, I'm just holding you back so you are here for longer, giving me free work for longer. It wasn't that kind of mindset at all. So I think it's really just like dependent on each situation, but I'm so happy it worked out that way because I had so much work to do even before I touched an iPad, you know, like,
Yeah.
and it was a learning curve to try to like get onto digital art after doing that, like, you know, hands-on approach for so long.
And then when you do get a machine in your hand,
You're excited.
that's gotta just
Yeah.
you're so fucking
excited.
pumped,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. And in that sense, I think there are a lot of people that there are certainly a lot of people that grab a tattoo machine and they have no business having a tattoo
For
machine in
sure.
their hand. It's just they don't want it bad enough, they don't respect it enough. I do 100% believe that that happens, and so by doing it that way, you're kind of ensure that like by the time you pick a machine. On the other hand, I've heard of people that have done the year long without a machine, and then they picked up a machine and they were like freaked out
Yeah.
so much that they like straight up couldn't even become a tattooer because
Yeah.
I mean, it's unfortunate, but yeah.
Yeah, I think everybody's journey is different. Like, while I definitely like recommend getting an apprenticeship to anybody who reaches out and asks me, you know, if people message me on Instagram, like, how would you do it? You know, like, I want to teach myself and all this stuff. And, you know, there are a lot of self-taught artists who I really do respect. I mean, Amanda Graves, for example, is like somebody I really watched at the beginning of my career, and I learned how to do glitter from just by studying her stuff. And she was self-taught. I went to guest spot at her shop and learned so much from her, and I do have a very high level of respect because I feel like everybody's journey is different, and you can't tell somebody what way is best for them to learn in general. But I do think that people who do take the time to go through an apprenticeship, like, everybody's gonna, I mean, not everybody, but if you're driven enough, you're gonna get there no matter what. But like, how many people are you gonna fuck up along the way? You know, how many tattoos are you gonna give to people that it's like, now I have to go get this covered up, or that kind of thing. Like, I can proudly say that there are tattoos I definitely could have done better at. You know, there's times in the beginning of my apprenticeship where I overworked some skin or,
Always.
you know, blew out a line or two, but there's no tattoo that I've put out there during my apprenticeship, even during the first like few tattoos, that I'm like, you need to get that covered up, you
Yeah,
know? Definitely stuff I could have done better, but for the, like
sure.
I never like put anybody at risk, you know, never like actually like really like mess somebody up to the point where I'm like, yikes, you know?
I fully agree. It's like, I think apprenticeships are fucking great.
Yeah.
I think if you don't have that available to you, but you have the hunger and you teach yourself and you're really a student and eager to learn and soak up what you can, great. If it turns out like there just isn't a right or a wrong way to do it. And I think a lot of tattooing has this perspective that no, there's this way is the right way and these are the wrong ways and that's just the way it is. And that's just not true.
No.
It's just been proven again and again that it's not true. And yeah, you know, there's plenty of people that have proven that. And yeah, I don't think there's a better way than getting a real
Yeah.
apprenticeship. I think that is absolutely the best way. And if you want to learn the best way, then commit to doing that, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I feel the same way. And like, I just feel like an apprenticeship, like, especially like having my mentor and my whole shop in general, like, I feel like I am constantly able to evolve as an artist. I personally don't think I would do as well, like in a private studio. You know, I just really think that that feedback and, you know, again, everything is dependent on the situation. The feedback you may be getting from other artists is
Sure.
maybe not what you want, but for me, it like
Right.
really helps push me, and it keeps me like evolving and growing to have other artists there to hold me accountable and look at the work I'm putting out, and then also just like community, getting inspired from other people and just constantly learning. You know, everybody has something different to bring to the table and offer. So
Yeah. And so what is it that makes you who you are in your business that's, I mean, to be going on stage and earning awards for tattoos at such an early part in your career, what else has contributed to that?
something my mentor told me when I was first starting, and I was like, what's the secret? Like, what's the secret sauce to, you know, like, how do I get better at tattooing, you know? And he's like, okay, I'll tell you. And he held this over my head for like a year, you know, a whole first year, and he was like, there's no secret sauce. Like, you know, it just practice, it's just hard work. And I was like, that's bullshit. Like, I want the secret hack, you know, like, what is it? And really it's just like, I don't know, I think it is a mixture of like working hard, but also just like keep trying to do better than the last, you know, time that you did it, kind of thing. It's hard at the beginning. And, you know, there's still times where I like look at artists and I'm like, I'm nowhere near where I want to be. You know, there's so much still I want to accomplish in my career, but if you look too far ahead, it's almost too much, you know, it's too intimidating. So I just try to like look at like what's the last tattoo that I did and like how can I make that better? You know, like what are the things that I can improve? What can I work on right now to like slowly evolve instead of like trying to look too far out ahead, kind of thing.
Would you say you have really high expectations or standards for yourself that you place on yourself and your work?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, that's, you know, can also be a weakness at times because I really am my own worst critic. And I feel like artists and myself, especially, like, I just tend to, if I'm not putting out something that I am, you know, a client could be like, oh my gosh, I freaking love this. This is the best tattoo ever, you know, and then I go to Doom Zoom on my phone and I'm like, I could never post that. Like, I don't want other artists to see that kind of thing. So it's really just a mix of like holding yourself accountable and doing the best that you can do. But also, you know, we're human. Like at the end of the day, not every tattoo is going to turn out exactly the way that you want it to. It doesn't mean it's a bad tattoo, but just not beating yourself up too much, but still kind of holding that certain standard for yourself
Yeah.
really helps in the long run.
And then I'm curious, just in terms of we worked together now a year and a half ago. You were still an apprentice when we started working together. Why did it feel so important to also look at the financial business side of tattooing? Like what inspired you to do that while you're still learning to tattoo?
It was definitely intimidating, you know, being an apprentice and having no money and being like, should I really invest however much money like I'm about to into this course? But there's certain things that like even, you know, earlier on, I think like right before I graduated my apprenticeship, I had kind of like had a few things go viral on Instagram, and by the time I graduated, I think I had like maybe like 10 or 13,000 followers, which, you know, at the time for me was like huge. I was like bringing in a lot of clients and I was getting so overwhelmed with like, I have no time. There's no time in the day. I thought being going from working 80 hours a week to being a tattoo artist, like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have so much time, I'm gonna be making
Yeah.
money, gonna quit my other job. And if anything, I was like, now I have even less time because all the time that I'm not working, I'm drawing and responding to emails or responding to the messages. So what originally got me interested in it was like, I need to figure out some systems for myself because like I'm lacking in being able to perform as a tattoo artist because of being so stressed about all these things. And I mean, a huge part of it is like we're not taught that, we're not taught in school how to be self-sufficient or anything about money. And then even as a tattoo artist, it's just the blind leading the blind out here. Everybody's like, I think that's the write-off. I don't know, like, maybe, and even people who've been doing it for years are like, yeah, I don't know. I just wrote that down. Like, I don't know, stuff a receipt in my pocket, kind of like everybody's just like taking their best guess kind of thing. So investing into learning that I just knew would be, even early on in my career, I just knew would be so helpful for me. And that's like the best decision that I've ever made, honestly. Like, even just setting up like booking systems through Acuity and being able to like send somebody a link or accepting card, like something you taught was like to not block the flow of money. And at the time I was like, that's bullshit, I don't want the IRS to take my money from card transactions. But now I've just like seen how much that is true and like how much that has helped me be able to just run smoother. I have clients comment on that all the time, like, your booking process is so easy, like,
Yeah.
I love that you take card kind of thing. And it's not just those two things, it's just like all those things together, and knowing how to do your taxes, knowing what's going to save you money. Like, it is hard to put in the work at the beginning to build those systems. It's frustrating to do something you don't know how to do.
The waterfall money system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Waterfall money system, and like building a booking and scheduling system, learning how to use QuickBooks, stuff like that. Like, it is really like intimidating, and there's definitely times where I've just been like, slam my laptop closed, like, I don't know what I'm doing. But
if you hadn't have done that stuff early on in your career, what do you think would have happened 5-10 years down the line?
I think no matter what, with the drive that I have, like, I truly like believe in myself that I'll always be successful and get to where I'm going. But maybe it would have taken 5-10 years to get there. I just feel like with everything, the way the universe aligned for me, with my apprenticeship, with my mentor, with the shop that I'm at, doing this course that I did with you, and the work that I put in was just really like, that honestly attributes a great amount to my success and took so much stress off of all the parts that just happened to come along with tattooing that I didn't sign up for. I mean, I did, but that's not like what I was excited about when I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be a tattoo artist. I wasn't like, yay, I gotta do my own taxes. So taking the stress off of that has allowed me to put more time into drawing and put more time into those client relationships, and all the other things that lead to good art at the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, we're going to wrap up. I'm teaching a class in a minute, but anything else you want to share? Any last note you want to leave listeners with?
Yeah, I would just say, honestly, to not give up. Like, I think every time I've thought that life was going to turn out a certain way, it never has. Life just has a habit of throwing curveballs at you and different challenges and stuff. But if anything, like, you being able to overcome certain challenges will really build resilience in yourself and inspire others along the way. So yeah, just like continuing to believe in yourself, and being, a critic to yourself, to hold yourself accountable, but also like be your own biggest fan. Nobody else is going to do it for you. So really just believing in yourself and just setting out for something, making it happen.
Something we always say in the Artful Dollar course is every breakdown is the opportunity for the breakthrough that you're looking for.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
I think I've proven that to myself, and I need to remind myself that all the time, because when you're in the breakdown, when life's throwing you the curveball, it doesn't feel like an opportunity. It feels like you're fucked. It feels like this is fucked and nothing good can come of this. But when I remind myself, okay, there is an opportunity here for a huge breakthrough, but you have to find it. You have to do the work to be with that breakdown, look at it, and find it, and then really embrace the opportunity that's there rather than resist the whole thing and try to ignore it or push it away or blame something else for it.
Yeah.
Those curveballs, they keep delivering some of the most incredible, juiciest, rewarding, fulfilling, valuable breakthroughs that I've ever had in my life. And it sounds like you've experienced very much so the same.
Yeah, for sure. I love that.
Yeah. Awesome. Hannah, it is such a joy to work with you. I'm so glad that you decided to come back and work with us in the Artful Inner Circle. And it's an honor to see someone early in their career killing it, not letting any of the weird things that people say or the bad advice or the not right advice for you stop you from just fucking doing it. And I think
Thank you. I'm honored to be here as well. I did not think the first time I was taking this and I was a little baby apprentice that I would be here today. So I just appreciate it. Appreciate everything I've learned from you. It's truly been invaluable in my career. So
thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, of course.
All right.
I hope your class goes
do you
well.
want to just let people know where they can find you on Instagram and stuff like that?
Yeah. So my Instagram is aries.inks, and then it's INKZ, so a Z at the end. Yeah, I pretty much just have like Instagram. That's my main form of contact. So
and I think you do a great job of making really great tattoo related content that is attractive for clients, and you get a lot of clients off of Instagram, and that seems to be working well for you. So if anyone wants some inspiration, some references of work, I've definitely pointed to some of your content in the Artful Marketer course as like, here's an example of something that was easy and worked really well, and it connects with clients. So check it out, definitely. And awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Be well. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the show. Again, I just want to prompt that if you got some value out of this conversation, please go and leave us a rating and a review on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you saw this podcast. It really helps me out, and it really helps other people to find this podcast. I want more people to have these types of conversations around money so that we can all be more free and at ease and abundant and able to create the lives that we really want to live. So please share this and rate and review. Appreciate it. Thanks.